All right, welcome back to Shooting It Straight with me, Antonius. This is a continuation in our Revolver series where the focus is more on the good old wheel gun rather than just the semi-automatic, since revolvers are still alive and well these days, as they should be. Now, in a previous video, we looked at the Taurus tracker in 44 Magnum. Now that was a well-built, smooth shooting gun, but it's a little difficult for me to control with the heavy Magnum loads. But I liked it so much that I ordered one in 357 Magnum from Bud's Gun Shop after a viewer pointed me in that direction. Now, I've always been a major fan of the 357 Magnum, and it's been around since 1955, and I've had several of them throughout my life. But it's been about 18 years since I've had a revolver, so it's time to get back to one, right? Now, a 357 Magnum revolver is very versatile. You can shoot 38 specials in it. You can shoot 38 special plus P loads in it, and of course 357 Magnum. The 357 Magnum round itself is perhaps the best man stopper on record out of all other commonly used handgun calibers. The ammo is always available. It's less expensive than the 44, and it's more manageable than the 44 Magnum. Now, while the 357 Magnum is a powerful cartridge, I still have very little trouble managing the recoil, unlike that 44 Magnum. And I chose Taurus based partially on the performance of that 44 Magnum tracker in the earlier video, partially on its reputation, Taurus's reputation for their revolvers, and partially on price. Now, I haven't made a secret in the fact that I've always been a big fan of Smith & Wesson, in particular the Model 66 and the Model 686. But, like I said before, I'm not going to pay upwards of $1,000 or more for a revolver. So I looked at Ruger's because I love the Ruger GP100. But again, I'm not about to spend up $1,000 for one. I can afford it, but for me, it's a matter of pragmatism more than anything else, I guess. So, when it comes to a quality 357 revolver at a decent price, well, I look at Taurus, and there are others, but I looked at Taurus. I wanted something similar in size to the Smith & Wesson K-frame, but with a 4, maybe 4¼ inch barrel. I didn't want any barrel porting or expansion chambers in here, and I wanted a capacity of either 6 or 7 shots. Thus, the Model 66 here, I thought, fills that bill perfectly. And it's also gained a great reputation over the years. And did I mention that the cost of this Taurus 66 is half of the listed MSRP on similar models by both Smith and Ruger? That means more ammo for me. So let's take a look at this Taurus Model 66. No, it's not exactly the 357 version of that Tracker 44 Magnum. That would be the Model 627 Tracker, which is an equally fine model. But like I already noted, I didn't want barrel porting or the gas expansion chamber because I want rifling in all 4 inches of this barrel here, not 3 inches of rifling. Porting is fine for a 44 Magnum or other maybe short barrel Magnums or something. But I've really never had a problem shooting 357 Magnums through a non-ported barrel when they have a barrel beyond 3 inches or so. So I went with the Model 66. So this weighs in. This weighs in at, and it's empty. It weighs in at 38 ounces. Now, this particular revolver was made in September of 2023, and it's got the adjustable rear sights blacked out, and it's got a hard plastic, almost translucent burgundy insert in the ramp here at the front sight, which I found initially to be very difficult to pick up. So I fixed that problem by first using a push pin to make a few dimples here in that hard plastic, because I didn't know how well the sight paint that I was going to put on it would adhere to the plastic insert here. So I then applied a thin coat of Tester's model paint enamel in fluorescent orange. I let that dry, and after it dried, I added another thin layer, and finally a third layer, and bingo. I took it outside the following day and put nearly 50 rounds through the gun, and the paint held up without any problems. It worked like a charm. Now, we'll talk a bit more regarding these sights near the end of this video. But for now, let's continue on. The cylinder locks up very tight with virtually no end shake, and rotational play here of the cylinder is almost non-existent. It's got the wide, smooth combat type trigger as opposed to the serrated target type trigger. The double action pull feels to be around 11 pounds, and the single action pull feels like it's close to 6 pounds or so. Now again, I'm just going off of personal experience. I've never had a trigger gauge because I just don't concern myself with the numbers or readings associated with it. I only go by the practical utility of the trigger. But at any rate, I anticipate that the trigger pull, while very workable as is, will eventually lighten up a bit with use, like most other ones do. This is still brand new for the most part. Now, the DA trigger pull, the double action trigger pull, is smooth through the pull, and it's got a very strong and positive reset or trigger return. And that's very strong. And also, as with most recent Taurus models, this one also has the TSS, or Taurus Security System key lock on the hammer here. And, you get 2 keys supplied with it. Here's one. Let's see what I'm doing here. Okay. God damn it. Yeah. Turn it to the right. Unlock it. Let me bring it up here so I can see what I'm doing. And then turn it to the left. And it's unlocked. Okay. And I also decided to go with the stainless steel matte finish, which actually seems more like a satin finish to me, as opposed to the black oxide finish that the 44 tracker from earlier had. And I know that from experience, that this stainless steel matte type of a finish, or satin, is a little more difficult to clean. But I also believe that it offers just a little better corrosion resistance, or at least I feel like it would. As far as the fit and finish goes, the various seams are snug along here along the side plate. You can see the seams barely. All right, it's very snug here on the crane and the frame. That seam there, and where the crane makes up here. These are very snug, very well defined. The cylinder swing out is easy, no problem there. There's no flaws in the finish at all. The barrel to cylinder gap here, the flash gap, is right at 300 thousandths of an inch. The timing seems perfect. There. Cylinder's locked before the hammer is fully cocked. Now it's cocked. So the timing looks good. The cylinder stop and ratchet hand are strong and effective. You can hear the hand sing. So it's working right. There's no drag in it at all. There is a sharp edge on the extractor rod shroud right here at the bottom, this edge here. It's pretty sharp and it could stand to be broken, but it's not in a location that would cause any injury or other problems, so it's really of no consequence. All right, now Taurus first introduced their Model 66 in 1978, which of course now back then it was a virtual clone of their Smith & Wesson Model 66, which debuted in 1971. But now the 66 here resembles the Smith & Wesson 686 now more than the 66, because Taurus at some point extended this underlug out here. Whereas a very early Taurus Model 66, as you can see pictures of, that underlug stopped about right here, which is about the same place as the Smith & Wesson Model 66 does. And as you know, the 686 has a full underlug. And so this kind of looks more like a 686 now than it does a 66. And I think, and I may be wrong, but I believe the 686 is actually an L frame. Is that right? If I'm wrong, let me know. I can't recall. Anyway, in 1999, Taurus came out with the 7-shot version of the Model 66. So, you know, for a short time, you could choose either version, the 6-shot or the 7-shot. However, in 2001, Taurus stopped producing the 6-shot version and just stayed with the 7-shot, but now they offer an 8-shot version today. All right, this may be a little bit off topic in a way, but lastly, I want to speak on my experience of sighting this thing in. Cripes, what a nightmare that was. And it wasn't the gun's fault, it was the ammo I was shooting. I ordered a couple of boxes of Fiocchi 38 Special in 130 grain, just for target shooting, plinking, so forth. And also get that out of the way, a couple of boxes of the excellent Remington HTP high terminal performance semi-jacketed wad cutters in 158 grain as defensive loads. Now I've always preferred heavier bullets, you know, bullet weights on the heavier side, because they generally deliver deeper penetration levels. Not in every case, but in general. Now, this particular load consistently penetrates 19 to 20 inches in 10% synthetic ballistic gel, as can be seen from numerous tests. Now, that would actually equate to about 15 to 16 inches in the organic FBI block. And personally, I wouldn't consider any defensive load that fails to reach at least 16 inches in, at a bare minimum, in synthetic gel blocks. But that's just me. Anyway, my first shots with this was with those Fiocchi 38s here from about 15 yards away. All I can say is thank goodness that this thing had adjustable sights, because I was hitting about a foot low and 6 inches to the left. So I went through one complete box of this 38 ammo trying to get this thing sighted in. Once I finally got the 38 ammo sighted in, I figured I'd try the 158 grain 357, right? Well, naturally, my point of impact was a long way off from my point of aim. More tinkering with the sights. A full box of Magnum rounds later, I'm finally hitting close to my point of aim, but I still need to fine tune it. Now I've had to order more. I've had to order more of this now. Now I know that different bullet weights and different velocities of the same caliber may not always have the same point of impact, but I've never seen this much of a variation. So I'll just have to keep experimenting with different target loads in 38 or even target loads in 357 until I find the right combination. All right, here's the parting shots here. This Taurus 66 feels like a Smith, it shoots like a Smith & Wesson, it handles like a Smith, and it looks like a Smith, which are all pluses as far as I'm concerned. Now, a quick word about the grips here. The rubber grips are okay. They do help with recoil management, but I had to trim some material off right here on the top with an X-Acto blade so that I could thumb cock it straight back like this, because what was happening was the pad of my thumb was getting pinched between the top of this rubber grip and under this hammer spur right here, and I couldn't get it into full cock mode. It would stop right there. So I had to trim that down a little bit so that I could cock it straight back trouble-free. That's not a big deal. That wasn't a big deal. That's not a deal breaker. These aren't the best grips I've ever used, but they do work well, so I think I'll keep them for now. All right, honestly, I can't find really anything to criticize on this gun other than the dull front sight insert, but as I showed you, that's easily fixed. So far it seems like I made a sound investment in a versatile revolver that truly is a joy to shoot, and I didn't spend a pile of money for it either. So thank you for spending some time with me here today. I'll be back soon with other revolver videos, including function inspections, particular cleaning methods, plus another frequently asked questions segment. So join me next time right here at Shooting It Straight. Until then, ciao.